Hey guys, tonight we drift past the swirling belts of Jupiter, the big loud gas giant that looks like marbled cake and sounds like a whale with indigestion if you crank the radio low enough. You're out here because someone has to be. Routine orbital recon, low drama scanning loops, and a checklist so boring it makes toast seem spicy. Through your visor, Jupiter looms like a god, with mood lighting ochre crimson and storm spotted. The red spot rolls beneath you like an ancient eye that's finally decided to nap. It's quiet in the cabin, almost too quiet. You float slightly off-center in your chair, one socked foot curled under your thigh, the other bumping lazily into a foam-taped crate of dried noodle packets. Standard issue space cuisine, spicy miso flavor. Mildly radioactive from the packaging, but only if you lick it. You don't. Outside stars blink and twitch in their usual steady rhythm, until one doesn't. There's a blip, a nothing, a not star, not shadow thing hovering just at the edge of your long-range scan. You blink back at it, more curious than concerned. Blips happen. Space is twitchy. But this one doesn't move, doesn't register. It's like a hole that even the void forgot about. Your hand drifts toward the console, not an alarm, more like a bored lifeguard flipping a page. You flick the scanner range. Narrow band sweep. Same blip. Still nothing. It's not reflecting, refracting, or even existing properly. The HUD shows static where data should be. It's like watching a movie that refuses to start, but insists you keep watching anyway. Your tea standard citrus lavender, mildly disappointing, floats in a thermal bulb beside you. You nudge it with your knuckle. The surface ripples. The bulb hisses. Odd. It shouldn't hiss. You poke it again suspiciously. Steam curls in low gravity, like a dancer that forgot their routine. You can't tell if the tea got hotter or you just started noticing it. You try to write a log entry, just in case. Routine anomaly, nothing serious. Probably cosmic dust or one of those rogue pixel clusters that haunt this sector. Your fingers hover over the manual input pad, but you hesitate. The log page is empty. Not just blank, but refusing input. You tap again. Nothing. The blinking cursor flattens, vanishes. The whole UI pulses once like it's breathing. You probably won't survive this. You mutter, grinning at your own voice. Not because it's likely, because it's traditional. Besides, most weird things in space don't kill you. They just make you forget you used to care about gravity or personal hygiene. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Really. No pressure, but it's how I keep the caffeine flowing. And hey, while you're here, drop your location and local time in the comments. I love seeing how far this sleepy weirdness drifts. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You float a little closer to the console, one sock now, halfway off and dangling like a lazy antenna. The anomaly sits stubborn and quiet, like a cat in a hallway daring you to notice it. You try a wide-angle scan. The system makes a polite little nope sound and resets. Jupiter keeps spinning. The blip keeps not being. And your tea bulb bobs in the air like it knows something you don't. You reach for your spoon. You always use it when things get odd. Somehow holding a spoon makes space anomalies feel more manageable. It's warm. Warmer than it should be. You inspect the metal. No glow, no deformity. Just strangely comforting. You tuck it into your thigh strap like a talisman. Then, with the gentle push of one toe against the food crate, you drift closer to the window. Outside, Jupiter fills most of the view, a rolling canvas of clouds and fury. But in the top corner, there it is, a tiny sliver where space feels wrong. Not darker, not lighter, just misplaced, like a dropped stitch in the sky's sweater. You narrow your eyes. It hasn't moved. Not exactly. But the angle's different now. It's more visible, slightly, almost like it's leaning in. You float back slowly, spoon tapping once against your leg. You don't say anything. You just stare, and whatever it is out there, whatever doesn't blink, stares right back. You float there for longer than is medically recommended. No blinks, no beeps. Just the slow drift of tea vapor curling behind your head like a cosmic thought bubble. The anomaly doesn't move. That would almost be polite. No, it exists differently. It's the visual equivalent of a sentence you keep rereading because it never quite lands. Eventually, your left calf cramps up. It always does when you hover too long in this one-legged jellyfish pose. With a little grunt, you nudge yourself sideways and anchor your foot against the console frame. Human-scale motion. That's good. Familiar. You curl your toes just to feel something solid. You never appreciate toes until you're this far from Earth. The tea bulb floats into view again. You grab it absent-mindedly, twist the lid, and sip. Immediately, you spit it out into the air. Not dramatically, this is space after all, but it's the kind of reflex that overrides astronaut training. The liquid glob hovers before you like an insult. It tastes metallic, sharp, like someone tried to carbonate blood with sadness. You glance at the bulb. It's your bulb. It was sealed, still warm. You flick the diagnostics. CO2 levels normal, radiation spike nada, contaminants clean. The bulb floats next to you again, like it's daring you. You swat it away gently. It spins like a confused planet. Back to the thing. You open the external scope and ping it with a light pulse. Just a quick one. Standard recon protocol. If it reflects, it's probably solid. If it refracts, it's probably gas. If it absorbs, well, it absorbs. No echo, no bounce. Your scope reports full absorption across all wavelengths. That's not just rare. That's rude. It means it's not a surface. It's not a thing. It's an anti-thing. A hole in data. You send another pulse, just to be stubborn. This time, the system returns something. Not an image. A smear. A single pixel-wide ripple of distortion that curls across your monitor like it's embarrassed to be seen. You watch it. Then you notice something else. Your spoon still strapped to your thigh has started to vibrate. Not buzz, not shake, just like it's remembering a song it never learned. You touch it, and your fingers tingle. The lights flicker. Only for a moment. Just long enough to notice, not long enough to complain. The cabin stabilizers hiss as if exhaling. You glance at your emergency kit. The bandages are floating in a perfect spiral. They weren't like that before. You tap the intercom. Mission control. This is Orbital Recon 4 requesting system-wide diagnostic and backup scan. Experiencing minor sensor anomalies. Please confirm. Silence. Not static. Silence. As if the request never left your mouth. You check the comms relay. Offline. Which is impossible, by the way. The relay's triple redundant. It should at least throw a hissy fit or error code, but nothing. Like the signal was intercepted or decided not to go. You float back to the console, rechecking your logs. Your earlier scans gone, not corrupted, deleted, not just erased, unwritten. You scroll through the data list, but each file vanishes the moment you click it. The timestamps vanish next. Okay, cool. Nothing alarming about time pretending it never happened. You rub your eye. Right one. It always goes fuzzy first when things get weird. The wall panel blinks back at you. You glance sideways. That spot, the anomaly seems bigger now. You lean in. It shouldn't grow, not unless you're approaching it, and your thrusters have been in sleep mode this whole time. And yet, here it is taking up more sky. It doesn't move, but you get the strong, itchy feeling that it's closer than it used to be, like a dream that followed you into the kitchen. You adjust your sock, the right one this time. It's bunched at the ankle, and somehow that annoys you more than the void anomaly trying to delete your sensor logs. You tuck it flat, instantly better. Some things you can control. You check your reflection in the side panel. There's a shadow behind you. You whirl around, well float turn, but it's gone. Nothing there, no movement, just the soft thrum of your breathing and the very polite blinking of Jupiter's radiation shield monitors. You float back toward the center of the cabin, blinking slowly, body loose, and drifting. One hand out, brushing the wall like a blind person in a museum. You close your eyes. Listen. There's a humming. Not from the ship, not from the console. Deeper. It's in the air, in your jawbone. The kind of humming that makes you remember birthdays you never had and songs you forgot you knew. It's coming from the anomaly. You open your eyes again and realize the blip outside the window is no longer outside. It's reflecting on the inside of the glass, or maybe it was always here just waiting for you to notice. You do the thing they taught you not to do. You reach out, not dramatically, not in fear, just instinct. You extend a single finger toward the window, where the anomaly now floats inside the reflection, not touching it, just measuring. Your fingertip hovers a centimeter from the curved glass, trembling only slightly. The anomaly stays put. A smear. A curl of ink in invisible water. You pull your hand back. In the cabin, things are still mostly normal. Your spare socks remain clipped to the Velcro rail. The noodle crate hasn't mutinied, but there's a wrongness now, a weight to the air, as if gravity decided to emotionally reconnect just with you. It presses between your ribs, not dangerous, just present. You push off from the console and drift backward, letting inertia carry you slowly past the sleeping drone dock and into the storage alcove. Your shoulder brushes the charging cable that always floats like a smug noodle. It bounces. That's when you notice it. The cable's curve is off. It doesn't hang the way it usually does. The arc is tighter, tense, like something pulled on it, then let go right before you turned. You reach for it, fingers brushing soft insulation. The cable snaps back, not violently, just enough to twitch, and now it's hanging right. You freeze. You're being watched. You spin in a full, slow, zero-G turn. Nothing behind you, nothing above or below. The hum persists almost imperceptible now, like the sound a fridge makes when it's pretending it's not haunted. You grab the handhold and orient yourself upright. Ish. Directions are performative out here anyway. You head back to the console. The anomaly's position hasn't changed, but your perception of it has. It shifts when you don't move. When you're still completely still, it tilts, a barely perceptible parallax, like it's leaning just enough to register in your hindbrain. You remember a museum illusion, two eyes following you down a hallway. This is like that, except the hallway is orbiting Jupiter, and the eyes don't blink because they're made of nothing. You reach again for your tea bulb, mostly out of habit, and freeze. It's gone. You look around, not floating, not tethered, not wedged in your hoodie pouch, just gone. You didn't drink it. You couldn't have. The taste is still haunting your mouth like a bitter secret. You check the trash receptacle, empty. You check the air filter intake, not there. You sigh and grab the spoon instead. It hums slightly. Or maybe your hand is shaking. You hold it in front of your face like a divining rod, absurd but comforting. You flick the side panel to review camera feeds. All show static except one. Feed 7. You never use feed 7. It's the cargo bay. There's nothing there except crates of dried meal kits, a commemorative plush sloth from an Earth Museum gift shop, and the broken backup coffee press. But now the plush sloth is facing the wrong direction. It's pressed flat against the internal bay window, nose to glass arms stretched out like it's trying to hug the void. You pause, rewind. 5 minutes ago, it was on the crate facing inward. You rewind further. 10 minutes ago, it wasn't in frame at all. You stare. The plush toy doesn't move, but it's moved. And for the first time in your quietly surreal orbit around Jupiter, your breath catches. Not fear exactly, just that slippery cousin of fear who hangs around, uninvited during ghost stories and awkward elevator rides. You mark the time code. The interface resets. It blinks, goes black, then returns with a new timestamp. Suggest. You tap it again. Same result. Your hand floats to your neck and touches the comm tag. Still offline. You sigh. Then something in the cabin clicks. Soft, delicate, like a locket closing. You turn. The emergency locker is unlatched. It shouldn't be. It auto-locks in orbit. You float closer and peer inside. Nothing missing. Everything tidy. But the medpack zipper has been tugged down an inch. Not enough to open. Just enough to look like someone changed their mind halfway through. You adjust your other sock. Left one this time. It's gone loose again. Always does when the air pressure shifts. You re-velcro the heel strap and suddenly realize you're sweating. That's rare. The suit's temperature controls should prevent that. You open the thermal monitor. External temps are steady. Internal is warm by 4 degrees. Not enough to trigger a warning. Just enough to make you uncomfortable in a way that feels personal. You drift back to the center of the cabin. Your elbow bumps a tether line, and every monitor flickers. Once, just long enough for every screen to show the same thing. A face. Not human, not alien, just geometry pretending to be a face. Circles in the wrong places. Symmetry turned sideways. It vanishes before you can blink. And suddenly, you're certain of one thing. You didn't imagine it, because geometry doesn't leave after images. But this does. It lingers behind your eyelids when you blink, and it moves when you don't. You float in silence. There's nothing else to do. The cabin has that crisp stillness it gets when you've run out of excuses to pretend everything fine. Not the panicked kind of silence, the kind that's been sitting in the room longer than you just waiting for you to notice it. You try to record a log again, voice only this time. Your throat's dry, but your words still come out steady. Orbital Recon 4 observation timestamp unknown. External visual anomaly persists. Possible sensor error, possible unknown mass. Internal system inconsistencies continuing. Requesting full diagnostic. Possibly not alone. You stop the recording. The moment you hit save the system, cheerfully pings file created, untitled subjects 1. Then it vanishes. You try again. Same process. Same result. Each file disappears the instant it exists, like the ship is letting you think you're logging things, then politely deleting your effort behind your back. You tap the console with your spoon. That's right, still carrying the spoon. Still humming, still your closest emotional support object in low orbit. It pings softly against the metal, and the vibration feels hollow, not just thin, empty, as if the cabin isn't connected to anything anymore. You glance at the window. The anomaly is gone. No, wait. No, it's worse than that. It's not gone. It's behind you. Not in the cabin, don't panic, but in terms of position. It's no longer in view through the main window. You unclip, push off, and floats over to the rear porthole. And there it is, dead center, framed perfectly by the reinforced pane. It's huge now, enormous. You have not moved this much. Your thrusters haven't fired, no propulsion changes logged, and yet somehow this thing that absorbed light now fills the rear view like a thought you can't shake. And it's pulsing, not visibly, but you feel it. The hum is stronger now. It's nested inside your ears, like the tinnitus of a whale that dreams too loudly. You reach for the manual nav toggle, old school hardware, completely offline. The panel lights don't respond. You flip the backup switch, still nothing. Then your ship emits a new sound, soft, musical. It's your notification chime, the one you set for personal messages. You didn't know it worked out here. The main screen flashes once and displays a message. Not a standard mission log, not a system update, just one line in faint white text. Don't turn around yet. You stop breathing. There is no one who should be able to send that. You wait. A minute passes, maybe 2. Then you exhale, carefully, slowly, as if the air might betray you. You do not turn around. Instead, you drift toward the side panel and check the reflection on the metallic trim near the airlock. Nothing there. No shadows, no shapes, no ghostly sloth plush clinging to the wall like a horror movie's sidekick. Just you. You and your floating socks, and your vibrating spoon, and your slightly too warm tea stains. Another chime. This time you feel the vibration in your chest cavity. The screen now reads, "Not yet." It noticed you, which is exactly the kind of thing that makes your pancreas clench, assuming that's biologically possible. You close your eyes and grip the spoon tighter. Just a spoon, just a harmless spoon. You use it to push off and drift to the center of the cabin, midair suspended, waiting. Then, a new smell, faint, ozone maybe, or freshly opened batteries, or the inside of a CRT monitor. You haven't smelled it in years, but it arrives suddenly and completely. The kind of smell that brings with it memories you didn't know were indexed. Old computer labs, fluorescent lights, static shocks. The hair on your arms tries to rise, but the suit padding suppresses it. Still, you feel it. A presence. Not evil, not threatening, just aware. You turn slowly, carefully, no jump scare, just your cabin. Except now, the light is wrong. Soft blue-white light seeps from the edges of the storage panel. Not harsh, not fluorescent, more like bioluminescence, like something alive and considerate is illuminating the inside from behind the panel seams. You don't open it. You can't, because the lights go out again. All of them, pitch black, except for one single thing glowing in the room. The spoon. It radiates a soft, steady green. You float motionless spoon, raised like a candle in a cathedral made of silence. And in that soft glow, you notice the walls aren't where they used to be. Not a lot, just slightly curved and breathing. You blink, and the glow goes out. You float in the dark, not metaphorically, not emotionally. Literally, every panel, every diode, every background LED gone. Even the standby light on the protein heater, which you're pretty sure isn't even connected to the main power loop, gone. You don't panic. Not because you're brave, but because there's something about absolute darkness that shuts off panic entirely. It's like your brain gets confused about whether it should scream or nap, so it chooses option C, float, very still, and think about socks. Yours, for instance, are now both slightly twisted. You can feel it in your ankles, and in the dark that feels weirdly personal. You don't move, you just listen. There's no sound, not even the usual whisper of air filtration or the occasional tick of thermal expansion. The kind of silence that doesn't just contain quiet, but creates it. Then gently something hums, not from the ship, from you, more precisely from the tethered survey drone, docked beside your thigh. You'd forgotten it was there. The little guy hasn't made a sound since launch, and yet now its status light is pulsing, dimly, red to green, green to red, like it's nervous, or indecisive, or asking for permission. You grip the drone by its stabilizer fin and tap its manual release. It doesn't resist. In fact, it seems eager. You angle it toward the rear viewport, where the anomaly last sat, then flip on the external floodlight. Nothing, but only for a moment. Then the feed kicks in, and the screen, now working again, as if nothing ever happened, flickers with a blurry image. Static at first, then shapes. The external view shows shadows, long ones, not cast by anything visible, just moving shadows, stretching across the frame like spider legs made of motion blur. You tilt the drone a few degrees. The shadows tilt with it, not following, mirroring, like they're pretending to be a camera's idea of normal. You mutter softly, "That's not better." Then, like a dog waking up from a nap, the drone shivers. Not mechanically, more like it feels something you don't. Its stabilizers twitch, the light flickers, the feed stutters, and then it locks onto something. Dead center, a shape. It's not a ship, it's not a rock, it's not a cloud. It's smooth, symmetrical. It looks horribly like a door, a massive, dark, iris-shaped structure, floating just beyond Jupiter's curve, not tethered, not orbiting, just suspended, like it's been there forever, waiting for someone to say hello. The drone hums louder. Its auto-return sequence activates, but it doesn't move. It just sits there, refusing. You flip the manual override and steer it closer. The ship doesn't like this. You feel it in the way your cabin suddenly tilts, not physically, spiritually. The kind of tilt you get in a dream where gravity forgets its role and everything shifts sideways emotionally. The console flares briefly, just enough to flash a message across the main display. Let it look. You stop the drone. No commands, just observation. The drone's camera zooms in. At the center of the iris-shaped object, something flickers. Not light, not color, information. Images flash across the screen, not sequentially layered, like a dream inside a spreadsheet, inside a fever. You catch glimpses, a child's drawing of a star that's too close, a fish swimming through vacuum, a door labeled mom, then suddenly a mirror. The drone feed shows you, not from the drone's perspective, from the inside of the object. It's watching you watch it. Your heartbeat slows. You realize this thing isn't just an object, it's a viewer. You're the content. And then just as gently as it began, the drone flickers, whines, and turns around, completely on its own. No input, no override. Just a silent spin and a soft retreat back toward the ship, like a dog returning from the woods with something in its mouth it can't explain. You reach out as it floats closer. It bumps your hand with a tiny spark of static. You catch it, cradle it. The light on its side is blinking white now, a color it didn't have before. You float toward the console to dock it and notice something new. A message etched faintly into the side of the drone's casing, not with paint, with heat. The surface melted just enough to scrawl 6 unmistakable words. You are not the first visitor. You say nothing, just slowly, carefully secure the drone back into its berth. Your spoon, still tethered to your leg, hums once more. And outside the window, the iris shape lingers behind Jupiter, like a pupil that just found something worth watching. You don't sleep. You try floating there in the dim, reawakened cabin light, but your body has decided that rest is not compatible with being watched by a door that knows your name. You hold the spoon in your left hand like it's going to vote on your survival. Occasionally, you spin it. It hums back. The drone is quiet now. Its lights dim its frame warm from whatever happened out there. You glance at the message as etched into its side again. You are not the first visitor and fight the very real urge to tape a sock over it. You drift, not metaphorically, again this is 0G. You bump gently into the corner of the sleep wall where your emergency ration bar sticks out at an odd angle. You take it, tear the corner with your teeth. It tastes like chalk and nostalgia. You chew slowly, savoring the bland crunch. Somehow the ritual helps. You're about to float back to the console when the cabin speakers crackle. Not chatter, not voices, not music. Rhythms, soft pulsing clicks, like code. You freeze half-chewed ration bar in one hand, spoon still tucked under your thumb. You turn toward the source. The signal is local, internal. You slide your finger across the manual tuner and isolate the noise. It's not static, it's intentional. A repeating series of clicks, at first random, then precise. Short, short, long. Pause. Long, short. Repeat. Morse code no. You check. It doesn't translate. It's almost human rhythm though, like speech filtered through a machine that doesn't understand language but really wants to participate. You pipe the signal through the waveform visualizer. What shows up on screen isn't noise. It's a heartbeat. Not yours, not mechanical, something deep and old. Every pulse has layers, subtones, harmonics, faint shadows of sound, like an orchestra whispering underwater. You pipe it through the visual module. The waveform twists into shapes. They look like faces, not human, but almost. Symmetrical eyes, abstract outlines of mouths. The shapes flicker and slide across the screen like sketches drawn by a sentient oscilloscope with emotional issues. You don't touch anything. It keeps going. A new pulse rises through the speakers, low and steady, almost melodic. You feel it in your chest before you hear it with your ears. It's like someone exhaled through the air vents in a loving but uninvited way. You glance at the console. The message feed flickers back to life. Only this time it doesn't speak at you. It speaks with you. You taste like remembering. You drop the ration bar. It spins off into the corner. You type a reply before you can think better of it. Who are you? No response. Just that faint echoing hum, now synced weirdly with your heartbeat. You try again. What do you want? Still nothing. Then your spoon vibrates. You look down. On its surface, just for a moment, a word appears. Not engraved, not displayed, projected like light, folding itself into letters. Echo. You whisper the word aloud. Echo. The hum rises in pitch, pleased, almost giggly. You type again. Are you alone? A pause. Then, we are never alone. The message disappears, replaced by, sometimes we just forget to listen. You float back unsettled in a not altogether unpleasant way. Your suit's cooling system kicks in softly. The temperature's risen again barely, but enough to make you feel it. You glance toward the viewport. Behind Jupiter, the iris-shaped structure remains, still, watching, not menacing, just attentive, like a librarian waiting for you to turn the next page. You sigh, not because you're scared, because you're full of questions, of tea molecules behaving like they're on trial, of signals wrapped in rhythm and shaped like things that remember too much. You float toward the audio panel, and just as you're about to mute the channel, something odd happens. The heartbeat pattern changes. You freeze. It now matches your own. Exactly. You check your vitals. Bibe ammo is the foiter. Breath rate slow. The sound echoes it beat for beat, like it's syncing, or sampling, or learning. You let go of the mute switch. Then the voice finally speaks. Not in English, not in sound, in feeling, a rush through your nerves, like an emotion whispered directly to your brainstem. We're trying to remember ourselves through you. You whisper back without knowing why. What am I supposed to do? Another pause. Then one word, stretched over 3 pulses. Stay. Not don't leave. Not wait here. Just stay. As if that word means more than it should. You look at your sock. Still bunched. You fix it. That helps. You look again at the spoon. Still glowing faintly. You look at the drone. Its light is blue now. And in the quiet, rhythmic static, you swear you hear something else. Laughter, or crying, or maybe just the sound of the universe, forgetting its lines in the middle of a performance. You let go of the spoon. It doesn't fall, obviously. It just floats lazily tumbling end over end like it's had a long day and would very much like to not be a spoon for a while. You watch it rotate, one full turn every few seconds. It's soothing, normal, something you can quantify. Then the spoon stops spinning completely, not slowing down, just stops midair. You blink, reach out, it twitches away. Not in a straight line, not a float, a twitch, like a hiccup in space-time that forgot to bring a napkin. You don't chase it. You just watch as it resumes drifting, but now it drifts toward the center of the cabin, center of mass, as if something invisible is calling it back. You follow it, not because you think it's important though, let's be honest, it is, but because it's the only thing moving that isn't you. The cabin is dim, emergency lights only. Consoles are low-lit, pulsing faintly in that sleepy medical way that makes you think of heart monitors and hotel nightstands. The spoon comes to a full stop in midair again, hovering. Beneath it, a glow begins. Not bright, not intrusive, just a single spot of green light on the cabin floor directly beneath the spoon. You stare at it and naturally reach for the spoon. The moment your hand touches it, just the softest brush your suit's helmet calms flare to life with a sound that isn't a sound. A voice, but not in your ears, through them, as if the pressure of hearing had been rerouted via empathy. The voice says, "We are memory, but not yours." Your pulse jumps. The spoon cools in your grip. The green light disappears. You back away, still holding it. The voice doesn't repeat. The room is silent again. Then your left boot bumps the storage shelf. You glance down and realize something has changed. The photograph, the one taped beside your O2 gauge. It was a cat. Lazy eye. Alley dweller, our high bacterial count. You remember printing it back on Earth. But now it's not the cat. It's a building, one you've never seen. Steel and clouds. A narrow tower with mirrored sides that curve ever so slightly inward like it's trying to listen. You don't remember printing it. But there it is. Your handwriting on the corner, home base day 1. You whisper, "What the hell?" The console flickers. A new message appears. "We replaced what doesn't ground you." You feel the spoon cool further, like it's radiating silence. You say half sarcastically, "Appreciate the redecorating." The message changes. "You'll find fewer regrets this way." You bark a quiet laugh. It echoes weirdly off the cabin walls. Then you drift down, settle cross-legged in midair, and watch the T-bulb finally reappear, bobbing like a polite apology near the comm panel. You grab it, cautiously, sip. It tastes normal. That's somehow worse. You set it down on the Velcro patch and feel a weightlessness inside your stomach that has nothing to do with 0G. You're being managed, edited, curated. You reach for the drone, still blue. You run a check. Its internal systems are stable, but the last video file, what it saw near the iris-shaped object, is gone, replaced with one word: welcome. That's it. No footage, no data dump. Just a screen-wide welcome like a hotel check-in that assumes you're already on your honeymoon. You float there, spoon still in hand, as another sound begins to leak into the room. Humming, a melody now. Soft, circular, no beginning, no end. It's not coming from the speakers. It's coming from the walls, as if the entire ship is vibrating gently like it's warming up its vocal cords. You tap the hull absently with your toe. A soft metallic pong echoes back, except you hear two echoes, one real one slightly delayed. Like the ship now has a shadow version, just out of sync. You look at your reflection in the dark viewport. It stares back, except the face blinks out of rhythm. You freeze, lean closer. It's not your face. It looks like you, but the eyes are wrong. Too still, too patient. It doesn't move again. You do the only thing that makes sense. You wave at it, and it waves back. On time, exactly on time. You whisper, "Do I even exist right now?" The console lights up unprompted. Only if you want to. That's either deeply philosophical or deeply concerning. You haven't decided. The humming continues. It's harmonizing now. 2 tones, then 3, like a lullaby made of machinery and static and curiosity. You stare at your socks. One's come loose again. You adjust it just to feel human. The moment your fingers touch fabric, the ship's ambient lighting pulses, once like a purring cat acknowledging affection. You sigh, out loud this time. Okay, I'll bite. You look at the nearest panel. What happens if I say yes? No text appears, just the spoon glowing again, faint letters curling across the surface. Then we begin. You close your eyes, and everything else does too. When you open your eyes, you're not sure if they ever closed. You're still in the cabin or a perfect simulation of it. Nothing has moved except maybe everything. The spoon is still in your hand. The tea bulb bobs in the same lazy spiral. But there's a quality to the light now that wasn't there before. Thicker, like honey, or like you're underwater and someone remembered to turn the moon inside out. The air smells different, not in a bad way, not mechanical, not burnt, just ancient. If scent had memory, this one would be full of dust motes and low voices in marble hallways. You float to the console. The screens are all active again, but they're not showing anything you recognize. Not telemetry, not diagnostics, just symbols. Wheels inside wheels, spirals rotating slowly within other spirals, like someone taught crop circles to dance. In the bottom left corner of one display, a pulsing icon waits. You tap it. The screen clears and displays a single line of text. You are ready. Begin recall. You don't know what that means. You say aloud, "Begin what?" And your ship answers, not with words, with motion, gentle, imperceptible at first. A slow drift, a tug, not from thrusters, not artificial, from outside. You check nav. You're still in orbit, but the view has changed. Behind Jupiter, where the iris-shaped anomaly once hovered, something enormous is blooming, not opening, blooming like a living aperture, a spiral of not light, unfurling in perfect silence. It doesn't look built, it looks grown. You reach for the external sensors. They don't respond. Instead, the feed shifts to a close-up automatic unrequested. The structure pulses with movement, not mechanical, organic, yet geometric, like a flower designed by a hyper-intelligent crystal that felt deeply nostalgic. In the center darkness, a familiar, comforting void, not absence, just waiting. Your ship turns itself slightly, aligns. You ask no one in particular, "Where are we going?" No response, just a sound, breathing. Slow, deep, cosmic scale breathing. Like the universe has lungs, and you're finally close enough to hear them work. Your spoon pulses once in your hand. You check your vitals. Heart rate 60 BPM, blood oxygen normal, sleep cycle interrupted. Everything about you says alive. But part of you wonders, what version of alive are you now? The view outside rotates slowly the bloom, centering itself in the viewport. It's beautiful, terrifying, but not in a bad way. Just in the way that deep oceans are terrifying. You respect it because it doesn't care if you understand it. Then something starts to write, not on the screen, on the wall. The ship's inner panel slowly begins displaying text in soft scrolling light, not projected, not etched, like the metal itself is learning to speak. To remember is to return. You ask return to what? The panel answers, to the version of you we saved. You blink. Saved from what? You don't ask. You're not sure you want the answer. Instead, you look down at your suit. It still fits. But now the mission patch on your chest, just the standard Recon 4 triangle, is different. The text reads, Recall Unit 7, Anchor Point Self. You didn't authorize a patch change. You didn't pack alternate embroidery. You try to remove it, but your hand hesitates, like it's part of the fabric now, part of you. You float back to the center of the cabin and let the inertia settle. The view outside begins to shift again. The bloom is closer, and now you see them. Not ships, not shapes, reflections of your ship. Dozens, hundreds, each one subtly different. One has 2 drone ports. One has a different nose cone. One's painted black. One's spinning slowly as if abandoned. One has a large crack down its spine, like it argued with something smarter. You whisper, Are those me? The console lights flicker once. Your spoon glows again. 2 words now. Yes, US. You lean forward. Are they alive? The ship answers in gentle vibration. Some. That's not encouraging, but somehow not scary either. You adjust your sock again. It's gone loose. Always does during existential crises. As you tighten the strap, the external lights dim. The bloom envelops your ship's viewport. A perfect spiral. No turbulence, no alarms, no friction, just entry. You should feel fear. You don't. Instead, you feel recognition, like stepping into a house you forgot you once designed in a dream. The cabin lights fade gently. The screens go dark, all except one. A new message appears. Begin reintegration. You say, what if I say no? The message doesn't change. It just adds. Then this will be your loop again. You understand without needing explanation. You have done this before. You just never remembered. Until now. The ship slows. The spoon warms. The tea bulb glows faintly. You hear one final sound before the bloom swallows your visions. Laughter, quiet, familiar, your own, and then silence. Silence, not empty, not blank, not even quiet. This silence has depth and texture. It stretches, folds, loops back on itself, like cloth soaked in thought. You float in it, not through space, not through time, but through something older. Something that remembers when space and time were still negotiating their terms. You blink, not because your eyes are dry, there's no air movement here to cause that, but because it's the only way you know to assert you still exist. Your blink feels heavy, significant, like an answer to a question you didn't hear. Then light, soft, diffuse, not coming from anywhere. It just is. You look down. Your hands are here. Your suit's here. Spoon still in hand. But your fingers pass through your thigh when you try to rest them. Not a glitch, not a dream. More like a symbolic reenactment of memory dressed as physical reality. The cabin is gone, and not gone. It's outlined around you in filaments of light, like someone rebuilt it from architectural blueprints made of spider silk and hope. Across from you, a chair drifts. It looks like your chair. Same scuffed padding, same duct tape on the left armrest from where the pen holder kept peeling. But in it sits you, a version at least, older, younger. You're not sure. The figure is you, but the way memory dreams of you, polished, slightly abstract, like someone reconstructed your face from secondhand compliments and partial photos. You say nothing. The other you smiles. A flicker passes between your temples, not a word, not a thought. A resonance, like a tuning fork hit somewhere inside your spine. You know what it's saying even without language. You are the echo. I am the original. You respond with nothing but a blink. The spoon in your hand evaporates into shimmer. The shimmer traces the air, writing words you don't read with your eyes. We've tried this 36 times. You say, and this time. The other you tilts their head, then slowly raises one finger, points. You turn. Behind you space peels open. Not like a wound, more like curtains parting to show something too private to look at directly. Beyond the parting Jupiter, still spinning, still beautiful, still indifferent, but not alone. Floating above its northern hemisphere, just past the rim of the great red spot, is a shape. You recognize it. The iris, not the bloom from before. This is tighter, closed, watching, still, waiting. You glance back at yourself, the one still sitting. They nod slowly, not encouragement, not warning, just acknowledgement. You reach out, and your hand lands on the chair, solid, velvet soft, familiar, and you remember not everything, just fragments. The laughter that didn't come from your mouth, the moment the tea boiled cold, the time your sock came loose and it mattered, the time you followed the drone but couldn't remember bringing it back, the moments between moments. You sit, and the other you exhales. The shape crumbles quietly into motes of gentle light. You inhale, and the silence changes flavor. Now it tastes like static and orchids. The scene collapses not abruptly, gracefully, as if dismissed with gratitude. You are now somewhere, still not the ship. Not yet. It's a corridor, soft, endless. Curved walls breathing lightly lit by no source, and yet awash with a gentle glow. Your feet, yes, you have feet again, land on something like floor, but it doesn't push back. It just accepts you. You walk, and the walls speak, not out loud, not even in your head. They speak in inference, a tone of voice that lives in emotional subtext. They say, "We remember you because you anchor us. You are small. That is why you're perfect. We've tried stars. They forget. You smile. You don't know why. You walk farther. Eventually you reach a door. Simple, matte, human-sized. No mechanism, no handle. Just a message etched across its surface. If you open this, you leave orbit. You hesitate, not out of fear, out of courtesy. You knock. The door opens anyway. Inside your cabin, as it was, except there's a gift on your console, wrapped neatly. A tag reads, "Welcome back." You don't open it. You don't need to. You sit, spoon restored, tucked into your thigh strap. The console pings. The iris behind Jupiter begins to open again. This time it doesn't feel like a threat. This time it feels like home. You sit still for a long time. Not because you're afraid, not even because you're overwhelmed. You sit because something inside you tells you this is the first real moment of stillness you've had since the anomaly blinked into existence. And maybe even before that, the ship hums, not a mechanical hum, not electrical, it's almost biological, like it's breathing with you now, matching your rhythm, or maybe you've started matching its. You finally reach for the gift. You don't open it, you just touch it. It's warm, softly pulsing like it's sleeping in your palm. The tag that reads, "Welcome back," curls at the corners slightly, as if the paper itself is relieved you're here. You gently set the package aside and tap the console. Everything powers up instantly, the way it used to, like none of it ever glitched, like logs were never erased, like drones never developed selective memory, like the spoon never hummed messages from memory ghosts. Just clean, well-behaved screens blinking back at you. You check the nav, still orbiting Jupiter, still safe, except the object, the iris, is closer now, much closer. The ship is still, no active propulsion, no station keeping, and yet the iris is larger in the viewport now, framing almost a third of Jupiter's horizon. It doesn't feel like it's approaching. It feels like you're being included. You slide over to the side panel, rechecking the camera feeds. Still no sloth plush in the cargo bay. That's something at least. But feed 7, the one that never worked quite right now, shows something else entirely. A corridor. Smooth, white, curved, like the one you just walked. Except this one is empty. No door, no light source. Just the soft, pulsing glow of presence. You watch. After several long seconds, a shape moves across the feed, not walking, gliding. It's humanoid, but only mostly. Its edges blur. Its limbs taper. It turns toward the camera and smiles. Somehow, even through blur and distortion and complete alienness, you know it's a smile. Not a threatening one, more like the way clouds might smile if they were trying to be polite. Then it speaks, not aloud. The screen pulses with soft light, forming words out of brightness and absence. We remember now. You whisper. What do you remember? The words fade. A new line forms. Your shape, your noise, your quiet. You sit back in your chair. The spoon, as if cued by the moment, slowly drifts up from your lap and hovers at eye level. It spins once, twice, then stops, pointing not at anything, just in a direction. Toward the viewport, you float up and press your palm to the glass. The iris is fully open now. It's not black inside. It's not light either. It's everything else, like looking into the idea of understanding before the understanding happens. And you realize something. It's not a door. It's an invitation. You speak softly. What happens if I go in? The console answers this time. A quiet ping. Then one sentence. You are already inside. You glance around the cabin. Nothing has changed. And yet, the T-bulb is spinning now, not floating, spinning as if gravity applies only to it. The gift package trembles once, then settles. You move toward it, one hand extended, but before you touch it, the console chimes again. A new message. You left something behind. You pause. What? No response. You look around. The drone? No. The spoon still loyal. Your chair. Then you notice it. Tucked in the corner of the cabin, wedged behind the storage panel. Your sock. The first one. The one that came loose during all the weirdness. Somehow, in the shuffle, you'd never found it again. But here it is, just waiting. You float over, pluck it free. It's soft, familiar, smells faintly like metal and cinnamon. You smile. Without knowing why, you place it beside the gift, and immediately the iris pulses once. The ship rumbles, gently, like a house cat stretching, and the air changes, not in pressure, not in oxygen, in intent, the way a room changes when someone finally decides to speak. You return to your chair, tap the console once, the screen flashes, recall complete, reintegration imminent. You feel no fear. You adjust your sock the other one this time, just to be symmetrical. You grip the armrests and close your eyes. The hum deepens, the light folds, and you drift not through space, not through time, but through yourself, back toward the place where you were first remembered, back toward the shape that once dreamed of being you. You don't so much arrive as emerge. One moment you're cradled in the warm, symmetrical stillness of not space, held gently by forces older than language. The next, your eyes are open and the ship is humming around you like nothing ever happened. The iris behind Jupiter is gone, not closed, not hidden, just not there, like a memory that was never yours to keep in the first place. The tea bulb floats lazily near your head again, as if it never tasted like static. The spoon is tucked neatly into the strap on your thigh, still slightly warm. The lights are soft, the air filtered, the system's running cool. Everything's working, everything is fine. Too fine. You twist in your chair the way you always do when trying to shake off deja vu. Something about the cabin's angles feels just a touch sharper, more precise. You glance at your mission log display. It shows the date as today, and also not today. There's a timestamp, but the year's blank. Just 4 dashes blinking gently like an ellipsis, trying to remember how numbers work. You tilt your head and tap the console. It doesn't respond with beeps or errors. It responds with a question. Would you like to keep the memory? That's new. You lean back, float for a second, then say out loud, define memory. No answer, but the question remains. Still blinking, still gentle. You glance to your left. The gift package is gone, replaced with something else. A folded note, paper, handwritten. You float toward it, slow and careful like it's sacred or possibly absurd. Unfold it. The ink is your handwriting, but you didn't write it. It reads, "If you're reading this, it worked. Don't worry, you always ask this part. Yes, the sock was necessary. No, you still won't understand the spoon. Next step, breathe, float, observe. Something new is always waiting. There's no signature. You turn it over. One final line is scribbled on the back. P.S. Tell them thank you. They miss being noticed. You look at the viewport. Jupiter still spins. Calm, distant, immense. But something in your gut knows it's not alone. Something behind it remembers you. Even now, you return to the console. The question still waits. Would you like to keep the memory? You think about it. The heartbeat in the static, the face in the reflection, the spoon glowing with messages from entities that never moved but somehow followed you everywhere. You type, yes. The console replies instantly. Memory secured, proceed. Then the nav screen reappears. Clean, normal, orbit holding steady. No anomalies, no iris, just you. And the task list. You flip through it, scan cloud patterns, Analyze radiation belts. Recalibrate sensor drift. It's all there. But at the very bottom, one last line hastily added, out of alignment. A single checkbox, already marked completed, recalled self-integrated. You don't laugh exactly, but you do exhale, a long, soft breath that feels like putting on a sweater you forgot you loved. You reach for your tea bulb and take a sip. Perfect. Lukewarm, mild, slightly floral, the kind of flavor that tastes exactly like real life. You adjust your sock again, just because. Then you float back to center and wait, because something will happen. It always does. You're no longer worried about what. You just want to be here when it arrives. Maybe it'll be another signal, maybe another sock, maybe another version of yourself who left better notes. Whatever it is, it'll come, because now you remember how to listen. Time begins to feel soft again, not broken, just folded at the edges, like laundry that's warm but slightly damp. You try to keep track of your minutes, your rotations, your logs, but the ship has stopped arguing with you about what counts as current. You mark the start of a new day, even though the light hasn't changed. That's how you keep sane. Rituals. You adjust your sock. You sip your tea. You tap your spoon against the console 3 times twice. Fast once soft. These are your anchors. They work. Mostly. Today something is different. Your reflection. Your actual reflection, not the distorted not you from earlier, blinks a moment before you do, not after, before, by a fraction of a second, just enough to make your spine go rigid. You freeze, then slowly float toward the glass and stare. This time, it mirrors you perfectly, right up until you raise your left hand. Your reflection raises its right. That's correct. That's how mirrors work. You hold your breath. Then, just to test a theory, you slowly raise your right hand too. Your reflection blinks. Not the same pattern. A soft flutter. Nervous. You both hold the pose. Then the reflection smiles. And this time, you don't. The smile fades. The reflection lifts one hand, slowly, gently, and points. You turn. Nothing behind you. You glance back. The reflection's gone. Just you now. Regular you. You float away from the viewport, trying not to make it weird. You hum to yourself an old Earth tune from a cafe playlist you barely remember. The ship responds by dimming the lights slightly. It's listening. You drift toward the cargo bay. Something draws you there. You pass the tether reel, the spare battery dock, the ratty towel you use to wedge the food drawer shut when it acts up. When you reach the bay, you stop. The plush sloth is back, sitting upright, facing you. Its tiny arms are crossed now. You did not leave it that way. You approach carefully. The sloth has something in its lap, a card. You pluck it with 2 fingers and flip it open. On the front, a doodle of a spiral. Inside, a message in tiny, perfect handwriting. We're sorry for taking the first one. We're still learning how you attach. You squint, flip the card over. A second line appears faintly, like it only wanted to be seen after you'd waited long enough. This one's yours to keep, even if you forget again. You sit on the edge of the bay hatch and set the card down. The sloth remains frozen, watching. You smile. You're very weird, you know that. The sloth tilts slightly to one side, not by much, but you're positive you didn't bump it. You stand again, push off the frame, and glide back toward the main deck. The cabin lights rise as you enter. The console pings without being touched. A new prompt appears. Continue. No explanation, no context, just that word. You hover your hand over the input, but don't tap. Instead, you ask the air, what happens if I say no? The console waits, then responds. You remain. You try again. And if I say yes, you become. You're quiet a moment. Then you whisper, how many times have I asked this? The answer scrolls slowly, enough to make the stars wonder if you're real. You chuckle, not bitter, just tired. Your fingers hover over the console again, but something makes you pause. The T-bulb bumps against your shoulder, gently. You catch it, give it a slow swirl. It fizzes, a soft, sleepy pop, then settles. You sip, still warm, still safe. The console pings one last time. When you're ready, you close your eyes and let the moment stretch. No urgency, no pressure, just the quiet rhythm of a ship that remembers everything you forgot and forgives you anyway. You finally tap the console. Continue. Yes. No dramatic surge. No warp speed jolt or choir of ambient sound waves. Just the soft, satisfying chikisu of a decision slotting into place. The lights dim slightly. The spoon hums once in your thigh strap like a contented sigh, and the ship gently nudges itself, not forward, not even through space. It feels more like slipping between ideas. On screen, the nav panel shifts. You're no longer listed as orbiting Jupiter. You're not listed anywhere. The coordinate readout simply says external, adjacent, safe, which is the kind of comforting ambiguity only a post-echo ship interface can deliver. You float cross-legged near the command panel, holding your T-bulb in one hand and your own silence in the other. Then the wall lights ripple. You turn slowly. The back of the cabin, once flat practical, lined with emergency gear, has changed. The wall now hosts a doorway, not a hatch, not a mechanical iris, just a tall, soft-angled rectangle glowing with a pale internal light, like moonlight filtered through memory foam. You drift closer. It doesn't open. It doesn't beckon. It just exists as if it always has. Maybe it has. Maybe your eyes just had to be calibrated. The console pings once more. You may exit your loop. You glance back at the chair, at the tether, at the sloth, who now sits proudly on the command shelf, wearing a sock like a scarf. You smile, because of course. You approach the doorway. As you near it, the T-bulb gently tugs away from your hand, as if nudged by some invisible etiquette. It drifts back to the console and settles on the Velcro patch like a loyal pet returning home. You reach the threshold. It's warm, not physically, existentially, like stepping into an old sweatshirt that still holds the outline of someone you loved. You lean forward, and everything folds, not collapses, not vanishes, just folds. You are elsewhere, everywhere. You are inside an endless library. Each book is not bound in paper or pixels, but in sensation. You feel titles brush past your shoulders as you drift. The day you didn't cry when you thought you would. That conversation with the woman at gate 23. The look on your face, the first time you saw clouds from space. They are all real, and they are all you, or versions of you. Recall units, simulations, echoes, each story recorded by the thing behind Jupiter, each story gently shelved. And now, here you are among them. You reach out. Your fingers brush a memory. You become it for half a second. A child again spinning on linoleum. The smell of oranges. The sound of someone laughing in another room. You release it, let it resettle on the shelf. Then the library speaks, not aloud, not through console text, through feeling. We remember through you. We dream with you. We become with you. You drift farther down the row. Another door waits. Simple, round, the kind of door dreams might use when they want to be polite. On it, a symbol, a spoon, crossed with a spiral. You don't laugh. You just feel home. You open it. Inside your cabin waits, but this time, it's a new version, slightly different layout, subtly more you. A favorite poster tacked to the sleep wall, a pair of mismatched socks already velcroed to the drying rail, and on the console, a note, typed, neat, Cycle 37 initiated. We're proud of you. Try not to eat the spicy miso this time. You grin, float into the chair, settle in. The spoon clicks into its cradle beside the console with a satisfying little magnetic thunk. You whisper, okay, and mean it. You sit in the new old chair. It adjusts itself around you just slightly, like a soft recalibration, the kind a hug gives when it's been a while and someone still remembers your shape. You let your body float into its contours. Let the straps wrap, not to secure, just to hold, like you belong here, like you always did. The console powers on without being touched. The screen reads, Welcome Anchor, Cycle 37 active. You scan the interface. Familiar, but not identical. There's a grace to it now. The menus ripple like water instead of snapping into place. The icons bloom open instead of clicking. Everything is gentler. A system prompt slides in unhurried. Would you like to review prior loops? You hover your hand over the pad, then pause. You know better. You already remember what matters. Still you murmur, maybe later. The prompt dissolves like it respects your privacy, even when it knows everything. Outside the viewport, you expect stars. You see spirals instead, endless ones, faint and slow moving. Not physical, not cosmic dust, just echoes. Trails of old selves looping gracefully back toward the center, some tight, some vast, each one orbiting a truth that doesn't need to be spoken aloud anymore. And at the center, still Jupiter, always Jupiter, spinning like it has since you first noticed it was watching you back. You tap the console, a menu opens, tasks available, scan local echo trails, review memory resonance, brew tea, send a signal, do nothing. You hover over brew tea, select it. The machine whirs in the corner, but you hear no hiss of heat. Instead, a bulb floats out gently from the dispenser with a little note stuck to it. It'll taste like home, whichever one you pick today. You sip. It does. You set the bulb on the Velcro patch, new patch slightly more secure than the last one, and stretch. And then you hear it. Not a voice, not the hum, not even a system alert. A knock from the airlock. A knock in space is absurd, but it happens anyway. Soft. 3 times. You drift to the hatch. The light above it flashes not red, not warning, just curious. You ask, is this part of the loop? The console replies, not everything is. Fair enough. You tap the release. The inner airlock hisses. The hatch opens. No one stands there, of course. Instead, floating just inside the lock, a small parcel, wrapped in paper that looks like melted starlight and crumpled sleep. You bring it inside, set it on the center panel, unwrap it. Inside, another note and an object, The note says, "You always forget this part. That's okay. We're here to remember it for you." You look at the object. It's a spoon, but it's not your spoon. It's made of a pale, porous metal that shimmers faintly when you breathe near it. When you touch it, it hums not with vibration, but intention. You hear something behind your ribs. This is not a tool, it's a key. The console pings once more, ready when you are. You sit back down. The spoon floats beside the original, both of them, rotating slowly like moons locked in mutual orbit. You tap the final option on the console. Do nothing. The interface fades away, leaving only the window and your breath and the feeling that the universe is quietly holding your hand. Because now there is nothing left to fix, nothing left to chase, only remembering, only being, and whatever waits behind the next knock. You don't know how long you've been sitting here, not because time has stopped, but because it's decided not to interrupt. Outside the window, the spirals drift like slow-thought satellites. They aren't watching you, they're with you. Companions, not observers. Gentle reminders that even the things we forget still keep their shape. The console remains quiet, not shut down, just silent in the way a cat watches you from the hallway. The tea bulb is empty now, but you keep it floating nearby. You like the way it casts its little bubble shadow across the panel, a reminder that something was once full and that was enough. The sloth plush has migrated again. It now sits beside your helmet. Somehow it's wearing a new sock, bright blue, slightly too small. You didn't put it there. You're glad it's there anyway. You close your eyes, not to sleep, just to let yourself go soft. Let the humming resume so quiet now it's become part of your bones. The hum of ship systems, the hum of distant spiral echoes, the hum of you existing. Then gently, like someone placing a blanket over your thoughts, the cabin dims just a little. A soft ambient whisper glides through the air, not words, not even tone, just reassurance, a message with no language. You were here, that's it. Not a question, not a command, just the kind of sentence that wraps around a life like a favorite sweater. You reach out instinctively to the spoon, the new one. It floats into your palm, cool, still humming. The kind of hum that doesn't want to leave. The kind that makes you wonder if the spoon misses you every time you wake up. You turn it gently like a key. Nothing changes, but you feel something end. The kind of end that doesn't break anything, just makes room. You breathe, and in the distance behind Jupiter, behind the orbit, behind the loops, and the memory shells, and the yous that almost were, you feel something watching again, but not intrusively, lovingly, curiously, like a librarian noticing their favorite book has just been reshelved. You whisper, "I'll see you again," and you know they hear you, because somewhere inside your suit's inner seam, a seam that never opened before something shifts. You reach inside, pull out another note, folded once, on the front in your handwriting. Yes, actually, your handwriting this time, it says, "For next time." You don't open it. Not yet. You just smile and let the moment stay. Now your ship floats quiet again. Jupiter turns like it always has, slow, massive, unconcerned with what happens in your little cabin. The spirals retreat gently into the distance, but some stay. Just a few, like friends who never really needed to leave. The lights settle into a soft dusk. You stretch once lazily, like gravity doesn't quite apply. Your body knows it's time to rest, even if your thoughts keep orbiting gently. You close your eyes. You let the hum rise. It's subtle now, warm, familiar. Outside, somewhere past the glass, something enormous and unseen watches you sleep, not to judge, not to interfere, just to be sure you aren't alone. Because you're not. You never were. You just forgot for a little while, and that's okay. Memory isn't a straight line, it's a spiral. It loops and doubles back and slips quiet notes into your socks when you're not looking. It lets you remember what matters, even when you think you've lost it. So rest now. You've drifted far, you've come back farther, and you've earned this quiet. Let your hands unclench. Let your thoughts untangle. Let your heart float. You are safe. You are remembered. You are home.